Good evening, folks. How are you all doing? Let me know how that sound's coming through. Sounding sparkly and spacey, right? I hope. Let's let that roll for a little bit. Thank you all for tuning in, especially those of you who are tuning in live. Thank you for being here this evening. And shout out to all my people who watch later, people who can't tune in live because it's a different time zone issues. I appreciate you all. I see you all when you comment later on. Thank you so much. I got something to tell you all. For those of you who can't tune in at this time live, we got something coming up this weekend. So hold that thought. Today I will open the floor. Anybody who wants to ask any questions about the launchkey mini, which I've got here right in front of me, and I've just dropped my brand new long form course for, or I've started it on YouTube at least. We'll open the floor for questions on that, all things looping. And you know, on Thursday evenings we like to get a little chatty too, so we'll open the floor for conversation as well. Doesn't this sound here kind of give you a little bit of the hologram microcosm vibe? All those granular sparkles. I've been working on this little device in Ableton Live that sounds a bit microcosm-y, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But like I said, thank you all for being here. I definitely appreciate you all tuning in live and hanging out with me here on Thursday evenings, as we usually are live on Thursday evenings. Now, as I mentioned, for some of you can tune in Thursday evenings, no problem. That's all of you that are here right now. You all know that. I don't have to explain that to you. But some of y'all cannot. Just the time zone does not make sense. But this week we are doing something different, something we don't normally do. We're going to be live streaming on Saturday, and I'm actually going to be streaming Saturday morning my time. So it's currently evening time my time, so it'll be morning time on Saturday. So if any of you want to tune in the morning, we are going to be streaming with the new Donner synth, the Donner L1, which is a sort of a clone of, competitor to, the Roland SH101. Interesting synth. Maybe you've seen some other folks making videos about it, but we're going to do some crafting of some sounds and some synth work on Saturday morning. So stay tuned for that. If you can tune in live both times, great. Or if you normally cannot tune in live, it might be a good time slot for you. So we'll see how that goes. But actually, when we end today's stream, please remind me that we have that Saturday stream, and I will make the page go live so you can set a reminder. But thanks. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week? I see folks tuning in from all sorts of places. North Houston, Texas. Shout out. Bogota, Colombia. Hello, hello. Miguel, thank you for tuning in. Frank S. Hello. Accent. Is Accent Noir? I'm not sure. You've rebranded. It's hard to find out. But yeah, there's leaderboards here in chat now. So top fans. Oh, we got Dungeon Master's got 100 XP. Naj, where's Naj? Let me find you somewhere. Naji is tuning in at 3 a.m. We've got quite a few. I don't know, like I can't show the leaderboard on the screen, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about this leaderboard situation in chat, but I guess when you chat, you get pushed up into the leaderboard. YouTube always trying to do some crazy stuff. Sanatan, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, we are working with Ableton Live. The sounds you were just hearing from the launchkey were coming from Ableton Live. We could talk more about that in a bit. Brett said, is this the first live stream? Not the first and not the last, that's for sure. But I'm glad you're here. If you're here for the first time, thank you so much. And Sanatan, thank you for tuning in from Nepal. As you can see, folks, we have a very positive community. So if you're just lurking in chat and you haven't said hi yet, please definitely say hi. 1 a.m. here on Friday. Well, happy Friday morning to you, Prod by Brown. I'm glad you're staying up late. Maybe you don't have work tomorrow, or maybe you have work tomorrow and you just don't care. All good. The Beat Builder, thank you. I appreciate that. I did a whole video about putting this studio together. So if you're interested in how to set up a wall like this, maybe you want to set up one of your own, then definitely check out that studio setup video. J Mash, it's also your first stream. Love to hear it. Najee, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. He's got the Beattober glass. Plug the event. Well, there's not much to plug yet, but y'all should know. If you don't know, now you know. Beattober. Every October. It's coming. If you can believe it, we're in the throes of summer now, but before you know it, it'll be Beattober time. It'll be autumn again. And we'll be doing our big community challenge. So definitely get ready and stay tuned for that. Cycling Frugally, thank you for being here. The Beat Builder says, what are your thoughts on the SP404 Mark II? Yes, folks, and chime in with your questions and chime in with your thoughts and answers to everybody's question. The point of these live streams is to be like super interactive and have real-time conversations. Otherwise, I could just make a video and post it. But we're here live. We have a chat going, so let's connect with each other, you know? It's what makes the community cool. So the Beat Builder says, what are your thoughts on the SP404 Mark II? I love it. I love the SP404 Mark II. I would say recently it's kind of taken a back seat based on, you know, how I've been working, how I've been making music these days. And actually, the primary thing it's taking a back seat to these days is the Roland P6, which I've got right here, which is sort of like a, do I call it a mini 404? Is it appropriate to call it that, do you think? The 404 is great for like sample experimentation, processing and stuff like that, and obviously long form samples. But recently I've been just wanting to do quick little sample things, do some sequencing, and the P6 has been great for that. But the 404 is a fantastic tool. It's on the setup that's set up behind me. But yeah, are you a 404 user? We got any 404 users in the house? What's people's sort of like go-to gear these days? What's everybody cooking with? Anthony from Ghana. Anthony, thank you so much for tuning in all the way from Ghana. That's crazy. And thank you so much for being a channel member. If y'all do want to support the channel, hit the join button, or sometimes it says subscribe plus. You can become a channel member, and also it's a good time to become a channel member because, first of all, as I mentioned, I'm starting a new long-form launchkey mini for beginners series on my channel, right? So it's a very in-depth tutorial how to use the launchkey. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend you tune in or check out this first part. But this is part 1, and part 2 is already posted for channel members. So if you're in it with the launchkey, it's definitely worth watching this video. Of course, you can watch it totally for free, but members are going to get new episodes early, so basically a month ahead of time, as well as ad-free versions of the tutorial. So it's a good time to become a member if you're trying to crunch with the launchkey, and there's other content available only for members as well, other goodies for folks who support the channel. It's a good way to make it so, like any kind of Patreon or membership or something, if you have an artist you like, I definitely encourage you to throw artists that you like a couple bucks, because if y'all don't like, you know, some of the worst parts of the internet, you know, all the SEO driven stuff, all of the clickbait titles, all that is done so that people can get more clicks and more views and get more ad revenue, which ad revenue is nice as a creator, but some people they don't just take the ad revenue that they naturally get, they want to optimize for ad revenue, right? So that kind of pollutes our internet space and makes things difficult. Whereas if you directly support an artist that you like, then they don't have to rely as much on those sort of techniques, that it takes to get a massive amount of attention on the internet, which, you know, becomes more and more competitive as the days go by. J-Mash says, I'm considering getting an SP404 Mark II as well. Is the P6 better? Looking for something to jam with my Ableton Move. J-Mash, I got a video for that. If you go on YouTube and you type in TAETRO, Ableton Move P6, you'll find a video of me with that exact pair. I definitely recommend you watch that if you haven't yet. I think they make a fantastic pair. The SP404, if you're really looking to do some deep sampling work, like sample some really long stuff, it's a good device. It's like almost like the king of all samplers, basically, right? But if you're really looking to combine some sequences, you know, maybe have a accompanying sample-based drum machine for the Move, I think the P6 works a lot better in that context. But it all just depends what you want to do. Trying to say one piece of gear is better than another piece of gear is really a fool's errand, because you'll find people on both sides, and ultimately is much more nuanced than just one is better than the other, you know? I've been messing around with the Roland S1. This is from Towns Bishop. Thanks for tuning in recently. Fun to mess around with the LFOs. Quick to get into the flow. Very, very cool. Yeah. In a similar note to that, in our stream this Saturday with the L1, I was doing some experimentation with it yesterday, and it sounded pretty cool getting the LFO going on the filter. So I think we'll come up with some pretty good sounds on Saturday. What's up, Frank? It's live. Yes, we're live, I think. Oh, Anthony, I'm your Music Monday, Anthony. Wait, you said tuning in from Ghana, though. You're lying. Oh, I read the wrong person from Ghana. Oh, I get it. I was confused in the chat. Prod by Brown, thank you for tuning in from Ghana. Appreciate it. Anthony is definitely not tuning in from Ghana. I know that. Anthony, thanks for being here. Anthony is one of my private lesson students, one-on-one. We've been making some magic together on Music Mondays. It's been a lot of fun. Do you guys prefer if we have like a little bit of ambient music in the background while we do the chatting, or do you prefer no background music? Do let me know about that. I don't know if it's like distracting or if people got their own music going, that sort of thing. We got more checking in about the 404. I love the Mark II for sampling, and the built-in effects are great and super unique. Yes, 100%. That's what it's all about. Once you get into sequencing and song making, it gets a little more complicated. My opinion goes down slightly when it comes to like actually getting a beat done. I don't know, the 4/4 workflow doesn't work for me. But in terms of experimenting and being weird, definitely does. What's good, B-Jammin' since birth? Thank you for being here as well. Anthony is loving the Push 3, as well as Machine Plus and Push 2. Najee says, I bought an MPK Mini Plus 2 years ago, and I feel like the Minilab Mark III or launchkey 37 Mark IV are much better. I wanted to see which do you think is better. My setup, you've already got a launch pad mini and a MIDI mix. Well, you got a bunch of controllers already. I think from a launching perspective and a looping perspective, you got the launch pad. From being able to map and control things, you got the MIDI mix. So then you got the MKII MPK Mini Plus, which gives you the keys that you need and the pads. Why don't you just build a setup with all three of those? I don't know if another controller is the answer. Can maybe the Minilab or the launchkey do something better than any one of those individual controllers? Yes, definitely. But using that combo of gear, you can pull off a lot, I feel, with that combo of gear. Ambient music in the background is cool. Okay, we'll keep it going. I'm very close. Keep this a secret. I'm very close to potentially starting, I don't know if I want to say this, a new channel a new YouTube channel. But set your expectations accordingly. It's not going to be like me talking about things on this new channel. It's going to be strictly a channel for like long, 1 hour long ambient music and nature recordings. So basically, in all my travels, I've been shooting video of all the places that I go, like long takes of, you know, like a forest or a mountain or a statue or something. And of course, I love making ambient music, and of course, I love doing the full field recording. So I've made a couple videos that are 1 hour long ambient music field recording, and then these long takes of a scenery. So it's like something that you put on the background while you are working, that sort of thing. So I'm very close. It's been something that's been on my mind a lot, but I just haven't taken the time to do. So I'm thinking of calling it Field View. Let me know what you think of that. Field View. So a way to incorporate sort of my travels. I tried doing a vlog channel a bit ago, which I would still love to do. It's just very hard to keep up with. And, you know, this current idea seems to be a much more sustainable thing, and it combines a bunch of different passions in a cool way, you know? Hey, thank you for the shout out, Anthony. I appreciate it. Yes, you can book 30-minute lessons if you just need a little quick advice. You can book a 1 hour lesson, or you can book a block of 4, which is what Anthony and I have been doing, and other students, where we can really work on projects week after week and make some real progress. BJamin says, I got the launchkey 37 Mark IV. Nice. How are you liking it? Let us know. Beta Run, glad you're here. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Yo, Spooky. Spooky little bookie. Is that how I say that? Spooky little bookie. Thank you for all your work on Dallas and Koala and launchkey mini things in general, because your simple and transparent teaching is something I appreciate a lot. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I try to be the best teacher I can be. I try to be the teacher that I wish that I had. You know, I've had some great teachers, but I try to take the best aspects of all of the great teachers that I've had and combine them into my own style. And I think in this YouTube world of learning on YouTube, a lot of people like to skip the fundamentals. A lot of people like to assume you all know things that you don't necessarily know. And that's not cool. We can't skip steps. We can't make people feel like they're dumb or that they're missing something, right? Got to bring people along for the ride. Or at least that's my teaching perspective. Oh, it's like so bright here. And I don't know what my hair is doing today. My hair's at the point where it's like just a little bit too long. Not long enough to warrant a trip to the barber shop, but difficult to style. I guess I could wear a hat. I forgot that I'm a hat guy. Sometimes I forget about that. Oof. Dungeon Master says, I got stung by a red wasp 30 minutes ago. Not related to music, but that's where I'm in life. Feel free, other folks in chat, to share, where are you in life? Are you getting stung by a red wasp? I had some fire ant stings on my hands that are slowly starting to go away. Those were especially itchy. Frank S says, I just need to learn the keys without having to look at finger placement. Hey, that's a learning point for everybody. Everybody's working on that, trying to get better at that. And, you know, it's okay to look down at your hands once in a while, but the more you practice, the more you'll be comfortable, and it'll become like muscle memory. The Pete Builder says, how long have you been producing music for? It's a good question. I think I started like fooling around with recording when I was a teenager, you know, get a little M audio interface or in a little Windows laptop and record sounds, record songs, record my friends' songs. That was probably like around when I was 15 or 16. I'm 33 now, so over 10 years from when I started dabbling to now. Ooh, MIDI Mix Accent says, MIDI Mix is cool. I just got one and now I've been labeling it. Yeah, get yourself some masking tape. Tape those things up. Make sure you remember all your mappings. Otherwise, just leave it all to memory. I mean, I guess you could get good like that, but... Yeah, Najee, I think it's not, if you're not getting the most out of the MPK Mini Plus, which the MPK Mini Plus, the real draw is like, okay, it's a bigger MPK, but it also has some outboard gear capability. If you're not taking advantage of that and you can sell it up and get yourself a Novation launch key, it'd probably serve you a bit better, I would say. Oh, JMash, good question. Why not keep the ambient mixes on this channel? I just want to separate it. I feel like YouTube used to be a place where you could have a channel and do a variety of things, but it is slowly more and more becoming like any channel that you watch is kind of known for one thing-ish. It's more and more, I feel like YouTube is driving folks more and more to like narrow down, niche down, which is not as cool as YouTube used to be, I would say. But then again, what's the harm in just starting another channel and having it being a network of channels? I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense, right? If you turn on the Food Network and suddenly they're playing music videos, that's kind of annoying, right? You're like, what's happening? I'm trying to watch the Food Network. Same thing. If you're watching, MTV, this doesn't make sense anymore because we don't have TV anymore. But if you think of it like that, so if you turn on my channel, you kind of expect to get some electronic music performance, some tutorials, some little commentary, stuff like that. Long ambient mixes, it's kind of related, but not exactly the thing that people tune in for. But it sounds like y'all are liking the idea of the new channel. Thank you, boosting my confidence. Shoya, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Hey, Beta Run's birthday weekend. Can we get some happy birthdays for Beta Run in the chat? Saw a pretty decent deal on a secondhand Moog Matriarch. House expenses, though, in life right now. It'd be impractical, but a guy can dream. Hey, maybe this deal just isn't for you at this moment, but that just means that down the road, when some of those other expenses are handled, there will be a deal for you. There will be something that is for you. Ooh, big words, big words. B. Gemma says, I love the Launchkey Mini Mark IV. In my opinion, the best feature-filled MIDI controller I've owned. I think you might be on the right track there. I think you could probably be right. Frank, I usually don't sell my instrumentals like that. The thing about that is, not the music that I make isn't always built with having a vocalist in mind, so just sending it out into the world like that, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. But there's lots of resources out there where you can get instrumentals. There's lots of folks selling instrumentals, especially. So if you are looking to purchase instrumentals, there's plenty of people making stuff. I'm sure you can find something for you and your little girl to write to. I think that's a sweet family activity, writing some songs together. And also, you can probably find some apps that you can generate some simple chord progressions, or maybe you can get comfortable playing yourself, and just play a few chords on the piano and write some lyrics to that, This world needs a hero, says, I've been loving my Keylab Mark III, just started making user presets for my synths and it's working well. Excellent. Yes, taking the time to do that kind of dirty work. Jamie says, shout out Fruity Loops. Hey, it takes all kinds in the chat. You don't have to be an Ableton user to be tuned in here, Burger Planet says, Cakewalk was my first DAW. That's pretty dope. I remember having a bunch of... This is in Minecraft. I remember in Minecraft when I had a bunch of random pirated DAWs on my computers as a kid. Skip forward in the ambient. Thanks, Brett. I appreciate that. Gulf Coast, Florida man. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome, welcome. Are Melodics doing a boot camp soon? Good question. I haven't heard. I hope we do one again soon, because there's such a good vibe every time we do that. And so many people just like jump ahead in their skills. But if you want to think of the new launchkey content as kind of a boot camp, go for it. But I'll be working hard on that. And there's been some requests for some Ableton Move, more Ableton Move content. So I want to get on that as well. There's lots of stuff to make. I dropped a video today. I don't know if you all saw that. On like a wireless setup for your studio. Using this. Fishman just dropped this kind of new wireless system, which is very cool. It's a busy time around here, but when is it not, really? It's only going to get busier. So maybe it's technically not a busy time. Wait, April Rock Studio says I have 2 launchkey Mark IVs. Want to know, do I have to update them? What does that mean? Do I have to update them? You don't have to update them, but I would. Basically, they have a website, Components, Novation Components website, and just update the latest firmware. I don't think they've made major firmware adjustments since the launch of the launchkey Mark IV, but it's always good to update your gear when you first get it, just in case. Burger Planet. I don't live in LA anymore, unfortunately. And I didn't go to a lot of those big clubs either. I didn't spend a lot of time going to see live music and stuff in LA, unfortunately. The age-old question from Stan all day. How comfortable is it to play a mini keyboard versus playing a controller with wider keys? Can't seem to not press the wrong keys on my mini keyboard. Ultimately, it's a personal preference thing. So people ask me this kind of question all the time. Let's kill the device on that, actually. Let's just hear the notes. I basically I have fairly large hands. Like, here's a P6. I think my hands are pretty big when compared to the average. This is an iPhone 13 Pro Max. My hands are pretty big, I think. And I've always used mini keyboards, but it is a topic of conversation that comes up pretty consistently. People are very concerned with the idea of mini keys, and it is a personal preference thing, but I would also say don't stress it too much. If you're having trouble and you're having issues pressing wrong notes, that's slightly annoying, but it is something that you can practice and improve on. For sure. So I got big hands, but I don't know. I just like the mini keyboards. For some reason, I've always liked mini portable gear, and that doesn't have to just do with music gear. Like, I remember carrying around a PSP, an iPod. Just been super into like mobile tech. Always. I don't know why. Darlin. Oh, darling. Oh, is it Darren? Sorry, Darren. I recently sold a Launch Control XL and thinking about using that cash to get a launch key, so I'm stoked on this topic. Nice. I wonder what caused you to sell the Launch Control XL. I know they got the new one out, which does look pretty cool. It's got the little screen on it. Other than that, not a huge upgrade, it seems. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. But yeah, Launch Control XL is a very purpose-built tool versus a keyboard controller, which can do a lot of different things. I mean, just like this arpeggiator, right? So all I'm doing is triggering the arpeggiator. It's in latch mode, so that means if I play some notes, I don't have to hold the notes down. And then you can see this rhythm running across. So it's still playing the notes that I played, but these are just like the steps that it will play or not play. So you can create different rhythms from those arpeggiated notes. So that's really fun. We haven't gotten to this yet in the tutorial yet, but we will. Soon we will. What's up, Granular Boy from Portugal? Thank you for tuning in. Thinking to get the Pocket B-Pad from MVave after watching your review. Any advice about other nice equipment to do some beats on the go? I mean, that's a great choice. It's over here. I don't want to knock stuff off my shelf. I mean, you can't go wrong. Like I said, back to the idea of like portable, tiny music tech. How can you go wrong? I mean, and it's great because it's tiny, but Sonido also dropped their C16, which is very nice because it's full-size pads. It's a bigger controller, but it's still Bluetooth, and it also has faders and knobs on it. That's another cool competitor to that. Just depends what you value. The thing about this stuff is, I think we trick ourselves into thinking, oh, if I get this, it's better than that, or if I get that, it's better than this. When really, it's just about like, it's all kind of cool, right? It's all kind of cool, and it would all be fun to play with, but we can't buy it all, so we got to make some tough decisions. So don't fool yourself into thinking some things are necessarily as objective as you think they are. Sometimes it just comes down to preference. What's up, Chrissy? Thank you for being here. Hopping in to say, hey, chat and TAETRO, I've got work in the morning. I'll have to catch the playback, and I'm looking to the launch key. Nice. Chrissy, thank you for tuning in. You should get some rest before work in the morning, and just know that we'll be live on Saturday morning. So I don't know if you're working Saturday morning, but tune into that stream if you can't make tonight. My issue is always that I practice on weighted keys, and then going to controller always feels too light. Yeah, I could see that. You get used to the weighted keyboard, and then it's like, oh, what are these? What are these spongy things? Key quality or like key weighting is never something that I ever really cared about. All right, can I play you guys my device that I've been working on, and then I'll dig more into questions. So you're hearing this sound. This is just a sound from Pure Lo-Fi, which is an Arturia plugin. It's like I got some of my favorite sounds, but this is Pure Lo-Fi. That's what sound we're hearing. But then in Ableton Live here, all right, go away. I've made this rack, which has a few different devices in it. So let me actually turn it completely off. Let's kill that ARP for a second. I promise I'm not going to ignore you, chat, for the rest of the time. Let me just dive into this a little bit, because this has been something I'm working on. Y'all know I love the hologram microcosm pedal. It's a very cool pedal. It does granular, spacey stuff. And there's one particular setting on it that I like called Haze. And this rack, I was just messing around. It's just a very simple rack. Turn it on, it just immediately makes something. So we've got that. Oh, I'm dumb. I turned the low pass filter all the way down. So we've got that sound that we were playing before. Let's just let that sequence play. So basic things we have here are high pass filter and low pass filter. That's very self-explanatory. Just basic filtering. Followed by delay and reverb. That's also very simple. It's just a ping pong delay. and a hybrid reverb. Now the next few controls, the light blue here, those are controlling Fragments by Arturia. Now, Fragments by Arturia is one of my favorite kind of granular processing plugins, and it's a particular preset which is called Responsive Reverses. So in this rack, I've got grain feedback and grain mix, as well as grain volume. So I got to turn up the grain volume for us to hear anything, but it will play reversed and sometimes pitched grains. So let me dial that in so you can hear it. Start to hear them come in. I'm going to turn up the grain layers as well, so there's more. So that's a lot of fun, right? And then when you start to dial in the reverb and the delay, it gets bigger. All right, let's pull those back. So additionally, there's one more device in here called Pitch Loop 89. That is a Max for Live device, which also does some granular stuff. It's kind of like real-time catching little grains from the sound as it comes through. So I've got basic dry wet here for that. And if I turn up the feedback, you'll hear it more. And you'll hear it even more if I turn the pitch up an octave. So if we combine all that together, this is kind of what we get. And this is really close to the sound that I like from the hologram microcosm pedal. Really close. Like you could just let the sequence play, right? Change up the chord that's playing. But yeah, how do we like that sound? I think it sounds pretty good. I'd release this as a rack, but doesn't make sense because you kind of have to have fragments and you have to have Pitch Loop 89. And if you all know anything about releasing anything online, I could put this out in big bold letters, say you must own fragments and Pitch Loop 89 to use this rack, and it would be a free device and people would rate it 1 star because they'd be like, I can't use it, I don't have these plugins. So just recreate it from what I've just said there. Or I could put a video together on how to make it. Maybe even a little side-by-side with the microcosm. I'm not sure. Is it close? Is it kind of, is it reminiscent from the microcosm for you all? Let me know. I think it sounds pretty cool. All right, but I said I would get back to the questions. And I saw one specific one come through that was about the launch key. And now, of course, I'm not going to be able to find it. I'll find it. If you asked a question and I missed it, let me know. Oh, here it is. How can I make the arpeggiator work with chords entered using user chord? Ooh, that is a very specific question. Let's see if we can dive in and let's see if I understand the question. Okay, so user chord. Let's turn off these effects first and let's make a user chord. Just a basic 7 chord. All right, we've made a user chord, and you're saying, how do I make it work with the arpeggiator? I don't know if the user chord does work with the arpeggiator. Let's see if chord map works with the arpeggiator. This is something I haven't tried yet. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the arpeggiator and the chord modes talk to each other, but somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't work in the way that I think it would. If it did work, it would work by turning the arpeggiator on and going to the chord mode, but it doesn't seem like that is a function here, unfortunately. And I mean, they do have these in chord map mode. They have the arp up performance modes. It doesn't seem like it's an option for us here in user chord mode, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Frank S., for tuning in. I'm glad you could tune in for a little bit. Enjoy your evening. Dave says, I know I'm in the wrong track, but I really need some hands-on info with the new Launch Control XL in FL Studio. Oof, that's rough. Do they have a FL Studio mapping for that? I'm not sure. I can't help you there, unfortunately, because I don't have the new Launch Control, and I don't use FL Studio. Can you control native instruments plugins using the Novation launch key? I think they added a bunch of support recently, right? Native instruments, controller, launch key mini. That was a dumb thing to Google. Why did I Google that? That was a stupid thing. But let's see, if I go to complete control, I did a video for the launch of this, and this is what happens. These things blow by and I totally forget about them. Let's open up complete control. Controller manager. I think are the Novation launch keys here? Yes, they are. Yes, so they are included in this. So if you go to your complete control in native instruments, they basically just expanded all of the controllers that work with complete control, and that will kind of match up with native instruments macros and things like that. So you can see there's a bunch of stuff here, from the MKII MPKs to the Arturia controllers, M audio, FL key, and the launch keys are here as well. So that's very, very cool. So the answer to that is yes. Let me see. Launch Key Mini Mark III. I don't know why. You see my screen dimming like that? I don't know why Complete Control does that. I'm also might still have like a weird beta version of this. Hopefully not. And now I'm getting worried that I'm scrolling through this and I'm going to have something in my library that I'm not supposed to have. So we're just going to exit out of that. Something that might not be released yet or something. I don't know. I always get worried about that. But it does work. Yes. Hell Nomads has been using the Arturia Microlab Mark III with the Move and P6. Super portable. That sounds awesome. Fantastic. I'm glad you're getting use out of that controller. Towns Bishop, thank you for hanging out this evening. Much appreciated. Hover Pants, that's an excellent name. I'm new here and really old. No worries. No worries, my friend. We got the young folks, we got the old folks, and the in between. I would say the ages probably run the gambit here. I used to play sax 30 years ago. I recently bought a Yamaha YDS-120, Ableton, and a launchkey Mark IV. Please wish me luck in my late life adventure. Hover Pants, I'm so glad you're continuing to pursue music and that like you're just going for it with all that gear. Definitely check out the launchkey MIDI tutorial that I dropped with Ableton Live. I think you'll find it to be super helpful. It covers the basics, especially if you don't know much about Ableton Live. So that's a new tutorial on the channel. Give that a watch and let me know what you think. Burger Planet, speaking of, says, there's a lot of features I haven't used on my launchkey MIDI Mark IV. Your tutorials are very helpful and I'm excited to see the next one. Did you see they did a new update for Loopy Pro on the iPad? I gotta check that out. Every time somebody mentions Loopy Pro, I feel a little bad, but I just can't devote the attention, and Loopy Pro is so good. I know that it's so good. I can only try to master so many things at one time. I can only try to master and fail at mastering so many things at one time, is what I mean to say. Beta Run puts it well. When it comes to music gear, what a time to be alive. I agree. And I think for a little bit there, and maybe people on Reddit are still acting the same way, people act like it's like the worst. Every piece of gear is the worst gear ever, and every company is doing a scam, and like so much negativity. But to me, and I try to like keep myself in check because I know I'm in a very privileged position to be getting my hands on a lot of the newest, latest, greatest stuff. But you can't, like, there's so much out there and there's so much competition. Basically any kind of device that you want, you can get. And then people are getting better at building devices themselves, you know? So the new launch control has endless encoders, which is good for me. Jump between devices in Ableton easily. I was using the Mark II with a Dig Attack, but sold the Dig Attack and just in the DAW these days. Yeah, the endless encoders thing is controversial, right? I think it's great for jumping around the DAW. Not so great for performance, though, unfortunately. Oh, Arturia having a sale for software. I think I saw that as well. I was thinking of buying some, not sure what would be good to get. My favorite Arturia plugin as of late is, without a doubt, Pure Lo-Fi. Turn the ARP off. I love the sound of this plugin. I know it's kind of very specific. Here, let's get the chat off the screen. But this is all the sounds that I love and a very nice user interface that makes it very easy to see what's going on. Listen to that. I mean, it's right up my alley. Go tell Arturia I'm the #1 Pure Lo-Fi ambassador. But yeah, that's where my vote is. I don't know if anybody's got a favorite Arturia plugin out there, but they make a ton of good stuff, obviously. Hard to say just one. They also make so much stuff, which is like, okay, if you buy the V collection, where do you even start? Brett says, I learn something or a few things every time I watch some of your content. Cheers. Nice. That's my goal. Hail corroborates my statement, says Pure Lo-Fi is one of my favorite Arturia plugins at the minute. Some amazing pad sounds on there. Yes. Hey, we got more than one sax player in the chat. We love to see that. Never too old to play some music. Exactly. You know, my dad never really played piano before, but over the past few years been teaching himself piano. Never too late to get into music. And like, there's no pressure too. It's like, get into music for what you want to do. You want to learn an instrument? Do you want to make beats? And also just like, you don't even have to tell anybody about it. You can just be doing your own thing and feel free. Fractal motion. I'll have to check that out. Do I have that plugin? What is fractal motion? Who makes that? Excite Audio. Or is it Motion Fractal? Interesting. I'll look into it. I'm always down for some granular stuff. Start of a track for the new channel. Oh, beta run, good call. We could get into making some stuff for the new channel on here some of these days. We could have like an ambient day or something. Now I'm just finding something to noodle with, which isn't going to be helpful for our experience here. See, every sound that I land on with that is like, oh, it's a lot of fun. Wish we could get you to use some Strymon gear. Strymon. They make pedals, right? Yeah, what do they make? The Big Sky. Yeah, the classic Big Sky. I should try some more pedal stuff soon. I'll work on that. Do they make any like plug-in versions of their sounds? I don't know if that's like a faux pas thing for pedal companies to do. Arturia's Cold Fire. I don't know what Cold Fire is either. Cold Fire. Arturia's Cold... Oh, it's a distortion. Interesting. Cool. Oh, good to know, Betaron. Yeah, if I potentially... I'll let you all know if I make that video about the rack that I was working on. Apologies if this may be unrelated to Live's topic, but how would one get into production? I'm talking about beginner hardware, some specific music theory stuff, things like that. Mikey, I have got something for you. I have a specific video. TAETRO music for beginners. If you just if you have a thing, type my name and then type the thing into YouTube, and I've probably made a video about it. So this a video I made 2 years ago now. I can't believe it's been that long. It's called How to Start Learning Music Production. I'm going to link it in the chat right now. This specific video is like one video that branches off, and I give you specific other videos to watch and go through, but I talk about like the sequential order and why certain things are important. So that is the place to start. So give that video a watch and let me know if it's helpful. I think it's exactly what you are looking for. Hey, thanks so much. 60 months of membership. That is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Close to 2 years. Keep it going. Ash June, unfortunately, I'm not sure about the Cubase functionality. I know the launchkey is very much based around Ableton Live. I know they provide some support, and like MIDI is MIDI, right? So it'll work to an extent with Cubase, but I don't know to what extent their Cubase support is. I also don't know what's important to Cubase users, so it's hard for me to comment on that. oops, what did I click on? Oh yeah, the UVI Falcon, most underrated ecosystem exclusively, and it has some NKS compatibility, so launchkey with complete control is a selling point. Yeah, nice. Yeah, the UVI Falcon stuff is fantastic too. I agree that it is underrated. A lot of people talk about native instruments, a lot of people talk about Arturia. I feel like UVI gets slept on a little bit. In the very early days of this channel, I made some video about some UVI app. Like very early days of this channel, like first year or something. Show ya, if you get yourself some pure lo-fi and some fragments, those are my number ones for sure. You'll be having a lot of fun with the sound. J Mash says, I have a friend who's getting into Ableton. Would you consider this to be a great first controller? I would consider it like the controller to get. If they're getting into Ableton Live specifically, Launchkey Mini is pretty much the way to go. And then show them my new tutorial video. What's good, Habit? Was just doing some laundry and brought along my Roland S1, and I actually went out in public and filmed a little jam with it. You helped convince me to buy an S1 and also a Launchkey Mini Mark IV. Thanks for being part of the YouTubers who keep me motivated. I love to hear that, Habit. Thank you so much, and good for you for getting out there in the world and like filming little jams. I think if the world was filled with more people going out and doing little jams with their gear, we'd live in such a cooler world. So I hopefully my videos can be an inspiration for that. And I need to get out myself and make more videos, you know. I have recorded a new performance that I'll drop soon. Short performance with P6. Actually, it was the stuff we were doing last week on stream. P6, OP1 Field, and Chaos Pad. Performance is coming. Video, I should say. Pure Lo-Fi is included in Arturia's V Collection 11 intro for $199. Is that value? That sounds like value. I don't know specifically what comes in that collection though. But looks like we got a cosign in the chat. It's a good collection. Strymon has got pricey plugins. I mean, I'm sure the Big Sky sounds great, but when it comes to that, I'm like, can I just use hybrid reverb and throw the shimmer on? I'm sure it's not the same, you know? Darren says, Falcon is definitely a little what the hell is going on here when you first open it up, but an afternoon messing around, it makes sense, and it's crazy and so good for hybrid or organic synth vibes. Yeah, I think like any synth has a little bit of a what the hell's going on when you first open it kind of vibe. I mean, native instrument stuff especially, unless you're talking about like the Play series where they super simplify it, but pretty much any synth is like, what the hell is going on here? K, what's good, Kay? Outside jams are so terrifyingly exhilarating. Yeah, you get over it after a while. People are always going to look around. What are you doing? What is that thing? Not a big deal. Why do you have a camera? You can also find little public outdoor spaces that are a little more secluded too. Like if you go out on a trail or in the woods or something, you can always find a little crevice to get yourself into. So, anybody, final questions about the Launchkey Mini? We talked about a lot of things, a lot of not necessarily Launchkey related things, but I think if you are searching for more like Launchkey tutorial related content, definitely would recommend the newest beginner tutorial, because we are going to be going through that from the ground up. Part 1 and part 2 are available for members right now. Part 2 will be out for everybody else next month, but if you want early access, you can get that with membership. Dungeon Master says, well, do aliens exist? We could get into that again for sure. What I realized about that conversation last week is that, like, I just don't know that I have much to contribute, because it's like, do aliens exist? Do you think aliens exist? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. I don't know what to say besides that. How do people talk for hours about whether or not aliens exist when nobody knows for sure? Maybe some people know for sure. Maybe that's what we should talk about. The conspiracy. It's a very specific question. Serum versus the iridium Waldorf. I am in no way qualified to answer that question, unfortunately, J-Mash. But if anybody else in the chat feels that they are, please go ahead and let us know. I guess I'll just say, like, one of the reasons that I super enjoy using the launchkey mini, well, there's a lot of reasons, but here, let me load up something quickly in Ableton Live. I'm just gonna load up some kind of simple drum kit. So you got this drum kit, right? Bit crush. Let's turn off the bit crush. Turn that down a bit. Give it a little delay. Huh. Little bit of reverb. All right, so anyway, like, that was easy just to get loaded up, and then I'm gonna quickly find a shaker loop, of course, because that's my thing, is just loading up a shaker loop for the rest of my life. And you get a little rhythm going. Back to the drum track. That was off rhythm. Can fix it real quick. It's like you could just be in this recording flow. Get the idea down, just keep going. Like fade things out, you know what I mean? It's just like the fluidity with how you can play and jump between modes, because from there we jump between finger drumming stuff. First of all, we switched between tracks. Oh, let me jump over to play drums. Okay, let me go jump over to play keys from the controller. We loop stuff just by hitting the record button. We overdub on top. We jump over to session view, and we can launch the different clips. I can jump to this. I can control the effects of the particular device, but I can also affect the mixer, so I can fade that in or out. You know what I mean? It's just like Just so easy. I don't know. So it's just, if I gotta recommend a controller to somebody, it's just so easy to be like, launch key is the way to go. I think as the longer that I do the Launch Key Mini for Beginners series, the more we will dive into specific performance techniques. Where am I? DAW mode. And the sequencer too, right? The sequencer on it is crazy. That you can watch the tutorial for, because we already covered that, you know? Rashane, what's good? Hey, really loving the launch key videos you dropped for members. Excellent. I'm glad you're enjoying that. More to come from that for sure. Caleb, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate the 5. Really appreciate the support. Tips for using the launch key and the APC40 Mark II. Can you use the pads to trigger samples always armed while using the keys to play another instrument? This is a fantastic question. All right, so let's break this down. Caleb has an APC40 Mark II, which is a fantastic controller for launching clips and controlling your mixer in Ableton Live. When you're combining controllers, an important thing to think about is, okay, what are the strengths of each controller? The APC40 does what it does great, but it doesn't really have any much other function between launching clips and mixing and dialing in effects, which means if we're combining it with the launch key, there's really no reason to use the clip launching view of the launch key at all. So Caleb's question is, can I use the pads for triggering samples, but the keys for a different instrument? And the answer to that is yes. And there's a couple ways that you can do it. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'll use this project that I'm already in Ableton Live to demonstrate this. Let's move this down. All right, so in this project, we have a kind of a good example of this. We've got a keyboard instrument, and we've got drums. Nope, that's the drums. Now, unfortunately, what happens is, as I bounce between those tracks, if I go over to the keys, now my keys also control or are being controlled by the pads. The same works in reverse. If I go over to the drum kit, my keys are the drum kit. My pads are the drum kit. So how do we fix this issue? Take a look at either one of these tracks. They can both receive MIDI from specific MIDI channels. So, first of all, they're both only receiving MIDI from the launch key MIDI, right? So we can just set that right off the bat. So if we have other controllers, they're not going to receive no information from any other controllers. Now we have a drop-down menu with a bunch of channel names, right? So pay attention to when I press the keys or press the pads. If I press, let's go here on the armed track first. And I set this to the wrong thing, didn't I? Yes. So I set that properly. Launch key MIDI Mark IV, MIDI out. So if I press the keys, you can see that channel 1 is lighting up here on the screen. We're getting a signal on channel 1. If I press a drum pad, you are seeing nothing light up, which is really interesting. Okay, so let's start right there. Channel 1, only from the keys. We're not getting signal from the keys. Now I can also set monitor to in. So this track doesn't even have to be armed now. It's being automatically armed by the launch key. But if I go over to a different track, sorry, I gotta zoom out. It's not armed currently. This track is not armed, but it's set to monitoring in, which means anytime it receives MIDI, it's going to play notes. But this track is also receiving MIDI, which is not what we want. now. What I did was set my controller to an alternate custom mode, and what Novation is really good at is their component software. So they have software where we can completely customize this controller. So we can't do it from the traditional drum mode because there's some quirky magic going on behind the scenes, I believe. Let me test that theory. Oh no, we can do it. Cool. All right, so let's recap what we have to do to get past this. I actually wasn't 100% sure of this with the launchkey mini, so this is good that we're working through it. All right, so when I play keys, that key signal is coming in from this particular MIDI input, the launchkey mini Mark IV 25 MIDI out. That's coming from channel 1 on that particular output. So if I play the keys, we get the key sound. Now, on the second track, our drums, the drums are coming from a very specific, from the drum channel, are coming from this separate output. And then if we do the channel drop down, you're going to notice, if I go down here, that channel 16 is lighting up. So we can set that specifically to channel 16. So now I'm just going to make another MIDI track and set this to monitoring in as well. Oh, see, that's where this kind of falls apart, but that's fine. It's still going to work. So now I have keys on my keys, playing my keyboard instrument. And now I have can I do it at the same time? Now you can play both at the same time. I was doing that pretty poorly, but the point is you have access to those. So when you say always armed, they're actually not armed at all. They're just always receiving MIDI. That's useful in some circumstances, not every, but those are the basic ways that you can play around with this. Now, what I would recommend is kind of not doing it the way that I just showed you, not using the official drum mode, but use one of the custom modes. You could even use just the one that's baked in on Custom 2, Alt Drums, and you can change this input back to the same one that the keys are using, but just adjust to channel 10. And then it won't matter if you change tracks or anything, because you'll still be triggering the drums, and the track color won't change because you're in a custom mode, so it won't matter where you are in the project. I hope that nitty-gritty thing makes sense, but that's the basic fundamentals, is that your pads and your keys send MIDI information on different channels. Oh, I hope that was coherent and made sense, Caleb. I hope that was helpful for you. Alejandro says, what could be better for FL Studio, Launchkey Mini or FL Keys? FL Keys all the way, my friend, definitely. That's a no-brainer. You don't got to ask me that question. You already knew it. And hey, thank you so much to Dr. Gaeta for joining as a member. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much. I don't know why that's not popping up in my chat here. But hey, knock on wood, friends. We made it through another stream without any network interruptions or anything like that. So that is it for this evening's stream, everybody. I hope this was fun for everybody. Answered a few questions about gear and Launchkey in general. These are always meant to be fun little conversational streams. Of course, if you have more questions, or if you're still feeling in the dark about Launchkey Mini, head to the channel page. I've got the full tutorial up now, and then part 2 is also available for members. Oh, Caleb, you didn't have to jump in with another super chat. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Now I know how to achieve some of my ideas for workflow and performance. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. I am Orange. Nice to see you. I've been having fun hanging out. Thank you, Dungeon Master. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in live, and for folks who tuned in later. But let us not forget, usually we're only live once a week here every Thursday evening, so you can set your alarm Mark your calendars for every Thursday evening, but this is a very special week because we will have a stream on Saturday, and I have just made that stream public. So if you want to set a reminder for this Saturday's stream, we can hang out this weekend. I've just made it public. Let me know if that link works. Fingers crossed. I hope it works. But we're going to be having fun with the Donner L1 synth. It'll be a chill music making stream, and I hope to see you all there. If you're looking for more TAETRO stuff, I did drop a very cool new video today, or I think it's very cool, all about sampling and how to keep inspired in your studio. If you're really struggling with inspiration, if you've been feeling kind of beat block lately, it's a good video to watch. But no shortage of stuff to see on the channel, especially this week. I appreciate you all. I love hanging out with all y'all on Thursday evenings, making music, talking about music tech and all that stuff. I'll keep you posted on the new things. If you want to keep up with this community while we're offline, we do have a Discord server that is available for channel members. So other than, getting early access to this launchkey content and getting some other members only content, we've got the Discord server as well. So if you want to join, you get to support the channel, you get a few exclusive things for yourself, and it really helps things out. But that's all for now, everybody. I will see you all on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.